Hey guys, welcome to our Married at First Sight after show. We have two amazing special guests for you, so you're gonna want to watch it. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Welcome to our after show, guys. We're so excited to talk tonight and also to talk to our two special guests. I'm one of your hosts, Jamie Banks, and you can tweet me at JamieBanks_. And what about you guys?
You can find me at Heather Yerrid on Twitter and Instagram at Heather Yerrid.
And I'm Allie Nasta, and you can find me on Twitter at Allie Nasta, ALLY.
And in a moment, we are going to speak with one of my favorite Married at First Sight couples ever, Courtney and Jason Carry-On.
Yes,
Woo!
super excited. America's favorite couple.
Yes. So let's get them in.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
We're doing great. How are you guys?
Wonderful. Super excited to be talking to both of you this evening. Thank you for calling in.
Thanks for having us. We're excited all the way from the East Coast.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you.
All the way from 1 o'clock in the morning over here.
Oh my God. Wow. Well, you guys are troopers. Thank you. I know it's late out there, so thank you so much. So first, I was just kind of wondering, what is your opinion on this season of Married at First Sight?
You want to take this one out, Courtney? I'll wait on this one for a second.
Well, season 4 has turned out to be definitely more entertaining than the past two. Sometimes I think it gets a little bit boring. Not season 4, but there's been a lot of internet chatter in the other seasons, but this season has definitely proved to be different than any other.
For sure. And what do you mean when you say that, Courtney?
I mean, each couple pisses me off in their own special way. That's like they literally do. I want to slap the television most of the time.
We were kind of expecting you to say something like that. That's why we got a little bit more curious. Anyone in particular that pisses you off maybe a little bit more than anyone else?
I mean, I don't think there's one in particular. I think just all of the guys, they definitely do things that I probably would have murdered Jason in his sleep for.
Wow.
Wow.
And that is telling the truth. That is true.
Note to self, watch it on repeat.
Notice I'll do none of those things that any of them do at any time. That's amazing.
That's awesome. Well, I'm sure everyone's dying to know, since we've talked about it a lot and it's caused some controversy for us. What is your opinion on the Heather and Derek situation?
I honestly think that they did the best thing for each one of them. There's always going to be things behind the scenes that we as audience are never going to see, and we're also never going to understand. But I think that Heather made the best decision, because if you're not attracted to someone, you're not attracted to them. And, actions speak louder than words, and you might say you want to do it one way, but then when you feel it a different way, there's sometimes never coming back from that. And if I were her, I probably would have done the same thing.
Wow. That's interesting. And speaking of attraction, what do you think about the Nick and Sonja attraction debate going on?
Sometimes the best thing is to keep your mouth shut. Probably should have had a little less Jack Daniels that one time.
Yes.
And it didn't even look like Jack in the Glass. It was like a screwdriver. And he was like, oh, it's the Jack Daniels.
It was something crazy.
So speaking
It
of...
looks like orange juice to me. I don't know about that.
Didn't it
Look,
make
he's
a little
mixing Jack and
yellow?
orange juice. I mean, he's crazy with it.
I thought it looked like
different
Mountain
than I've
Dew.
seen before, but all the power to him, I suppose.
We're curious. Courtney, you mentioned the men in general. Jason, being a man, what are your thoughts? Do you think that there's a significant difference in the gentlemen that are in this season compared to you and the others from season 1 and what you've seen thus far?
I think everybody's a little bit unique in their own way. We all have different, characteristics. That's for sure. I mean, if you look like David, I don't think there's anybody like David or anybody like Sean or anybody like Ryan Denino. I think everyone is a little different. But with this season, it's again, well-versed people. I mean, they all seem like they came in there for the right reasons, which was a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. So our fans are dying to know a couple things. We'll touch on a little bit of a touchy topic for you guys. So any new plans? I know you're in North Carolina right now. Jason came down to see you, Courtney, since you broke your foot. Hopefully you're feeling better with that. Is that going okay? A little bit better?
I am.
Good. Okay, good.
I'm doing better. Still rocking the fiberglass cast. You know,
Nice.
still there, but
So fans want to know, are there any plans on moving out of New York and maybe to North Carolina?
dun dun dun.
Oh man, it's put it all up to me. Well, right now we're staying put in New York. You know, my career is over there right now. I don't really want to work in FDN. I really want to work anywhere. And same thing with Courtney. You know, she's got all the jobs in New York right now, so we're just kind of gonna hold tight over there for a while.
Cool.
No babies on the way, so I'm not knocked up.
We were gonna ask that. I mean, everyone else is like, oh, are they getting pregnant? We're
Big
like,
baby question.
yeah, right. Nah, we're not gonna do that.
I love when people are like, "Oh my God, you're glowing! I can tell you're pregnant." I'm like,
my
no,
gosh.
I just ate like a burrito. That's a food baby, not a real baby.
Oh, boy.
That's hilarious. So what was one thing or multiple things that you really knew that you each other were the right one and that you were going to stay together after this process when you were on the show?
Well, I mean, I knew that I loved Jason when I sat and cried during an interview about his mom, because it really hit home to me that this was the person who was opening up to me, and I really had the power to make or break the relationship. And for the first time in my life, I really didn't care about myself as much as I cared about him. And over 2.5 years, that's been a constant thing in our relationship. If you want a relationship to work, you can't think about yourself. You can't be the number one. And, you know, like, we're not perfect. We fight, we argue, we have our ups and downs, but it's always when we are at our lowest point, it's because one of us is being selfish, and it's usually because I am. So, like, that's the constant thing that keeps coming back. We have to put each other first. We have to put the other one first. And in my opinion, that's why couples don't work out in general, not just married at first sight. It's life. When you can't put somebody before yourself, that's when you're doomed.
That's amazing, you know, and what we hear you saying in that moment, to me at least, you're talking about awareness. And even in season 1, the awareness that you two have when your obstacle was at that time, you actually putting yourself on hold, your career on hold to be that makeup artist and so forth. And that is what caused you guys to start to have conflict. So it sounds like what you're saying is, again, being selfless, but staying in and true to yourself so that you guys complement each other as a couple.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. And speaking of that, as far as the makeup artist and so forth, as well as Jason, I think you're getting back into wrestling. Are both of you guys still hanging and doing those careers and pursuing that stuff?
I'll let Jason take this one.
Oh yeah, well yeah, I'm back on the wrestling kick. I'm still with the fire department full time, obviously, but we're wrestling. Actually, I've gotten a WWE tryout, so I mean, in the future, who knows what's gonna happen? But you know, right now I'm just riding the wave and just having fun with it.
That's awesome.
so great.
Yeah,
Wow.
the video was good. I shared it on Twitter. I remember I was like, oh, there he is. He's getting it.
That's awesome. So
Get it in.
You can totally tell when I've been drinking wine, because, like, my tweets get more entertaining, and so does my Snapchat.
Yes.
Yeah, because all she does is just, you know, make fun of me and just record me when I'm eating, and I just gotta leave the room half the time.
that's so funny.
I
She
entertain.
trolls me. She trolls me on a 24-hour basis with Snapchat and Twitter.
I love it.
That's so
yeah,
great.
I like it.
I think that's what people love about you guys is the fact that you're so real, you're so authentic, you joke with each other, and you put it out there. Like it's a good thing, and it's, you know, I'm curious, and a lot of our fans also wanted to know too, like, how did you guys find the courage moving in with a stranger to be so open, especially when you guys were hit with so many obstacles? Is that laughter what keeps you going? What, you know, how did you guys find that courage with each other to keep this strong?
I think definitely, like, in the beginning, like, we have that chemistry, and it wasn't just being attracted to each other. It was much more than that, because if anything, attraction, I'm not saying it fades, but to have someone that you know, can laugh with and have a good time with, I think that means a lot. And at the time, right in the beginning, I was going through this crazy transitional period. You know, I was about to lose my mother, and I was kind of like on the fence if that was kind of in denial with that whole situation. I was about to join my career because at that time I had nothing together. I had everything up and coming, what was going to go on with my life, but nothing at that point in my life where everything was secure. And with Courtney, she was pretty much the only secure thing that I had because, hell, we were married. But even with that, we could have, after the 6 weeks or whatever the time was, we could have gotten a divorce. So it was such a weird time, but we kind of completed each other because I needed her real bad at that time, and we just made each other, you know, who we are. We made each other stronger. And you know, I don't want to get sentimental, but when I lost my mom, that was the time when I knew that this was the girl that I was going to spend the rest of my life with. All the stuff beforehand, like, yeah, we connected, but it was when my mother passed away and she was there for me on an emotional level. That was when I knew.
Oh, that's amazing. I do have one thing, just because you guys have already been through so much in such a short amount of time almost. Do you have any advice for people that are like future people that go onto this show, or just for the couples now? Say they haven't been filmed. What's the advice that you would give to them?
I would definitely say to surround yourself with positive people who are going to be encouraging and listen to you instead of judging or telling you what their, quote, best advice is. A lot of people need another person to just shut up and listen. Like, don't tell me what your opinion is, just shut up and be heard and listen to you and then give you advice if that's what you ask for. But I haven't yet seen on this season a lot of positive influence for the couples. Like, yes, they have the experts, but I think they need friends that are married. They need not necessarily parents, but someone older who has shown them what a healthy relationship is, because a healthy relationship isn't, hey, we're going to hold hands and we're going to smile all the time. Healthy relationship is talking about your feelings, talking about the ups and downs. Allowing yourself to be vulnerable is the scariest thing on this planet, but it's the only thing that allows for a person to be real and authentic.
Totally. Speaking of that, we were curious, right? So you're talking about communication, you're talking about that vulnerability, which we are seeing big gaps here in this season in particular. When it comes to the survey that you guys have to fill out for the show, do they ask you about that? Do they get curious on your past communication experience or vulnerability or anything like that?
Well, the experts changed this season, so I have absolutely no idea what they got, how they were picked this season versus how we were picked. With Dr. Joseph, he had a psychologist test that we did that only a licensed psychologist can do. Like the personality test that they like give like murderers basically. Like we
That's awesome.
So
that's intense.
it like
Awesome.
showed us crazy real quick.
Okay, that's good to know.
I was thinking it was just like maybe a piece of paper that you were like circling A, B, or C. I don't know.
Yeah, because there's been such talk about the deal breakers.
Yeah.
So we were curious about how that was set up, because we've seen you throw a couple tweets about that out. We've seen Heather throw tweets. Yeah. Everyone's talking about deal breakers. We see Sonja having dog, not liking dogs. Nick's got a dog. Smoking, not smoking. What was that like on your survey or that psychological murder test that you took?
Well, on ours, I guess, okay, so a lot of people probably don't know this because they've never seen me smoke a cig on camera, but I used to be a smoker. Like, when Jason and I were matched, I answered multiple questions on different tests, and I remember, like, Robbie, my associate producer, before I found out that I was even matched, he gives me a call and he's like, hey, I have a question for you. And this was like after I'd been dodging them for a while. And he was like, okay, so are you a smoker or are you not? And I was like, well, I smoke, but it depends on the context. He's like, well, you answered it one way on this because they asked me if I was a social smoker. And I said no, because I would smoke by myself when I was sober. And they're like, well, you answered it this way, one way, this way, blah, blah, blah. Well, would you stop smoking for love? And I said yes. Well, from that point forward, I knew that smoking was going to be whoever I got matched with deal breaker. So it was up to me to either suck it up, not smoke, choose to quit, or ruin something that could be wonderful. And that's why I have such a strong opinion on the Derek and Heather thing, because it could have been different if one person had made the decision not to go there. However, he did. That's why, like, I just don't even have any patience for it. He could have changed it, but he chose to be a victim instead.
So you think that he knew that it was a huge deal breaker with Heather and that he chose to anyway?
I have no proof of that, but yes, that's what I think.
Oh, okay.
Big time.
I could be
Very
wrong,
interesting.
No, I think, I mean, that kind of makes,
It makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It
I was
totally
just
makes sense.
wondering how that happened, if they had the survey and all that. Like, you would know that she was against it.
Yeah, and that completely makes sense. Courtney used her intuition to be like, they asked me this, they got curious, which most likely means I'm going
Yeah.
to be challenged on it. Totally makes sense. Yeah.
But I'm just gonna put this out there. I'm gonna be,
Play devil's
straightforward.
advocate.
When I play devil's advocate, I play devil's advocate. But honestly, I don't think the whole Derek and Heather situation was just because of the smoking. I think it was much more deeper than that. I think after, like, from what I saw, again, when the cameras aren't there, you don't know what goes on. You don't know what
Right.
goes on behind the closed doors. So things that might have been said, I think there's much more deeper issues that go in between that, rather than just the smoking be the catalyst of being the big problem that it comes down to. Whatever what happened, I think it's definitely much more than that.
For
Very
sure.
true.
Yeah, for sure.
What that is, I don't know. But
yeah, something we all didn't see, clearly.
Speaking of that, one more thing that we've had a lot of fans ask about, or we've actually gone back and forth ourselves with, is the living situation. So when you guys are on the show and you guys live together, is it literally, I'm making quotes with my fingers right now, do you live together in a married at first sight space, or do you actually rent a place and you guys broker a deal with a realtor, be like, yo, we need this for 6 weeks?
Yeah.
What's that like, the living situation?
Well, we lived together. We ended up living in Brooklyn, and again, my apartment was way too small. I had basically taken care of my mother, so we couldn't do that. So we ended up living together, and then afterwards, we went to Park Slope. We actually went to your apartment.
No, we went back to my
We
apartment.
went back to your apartment. That was the apartment that was really it was really small on Upper East Side, but it was like not a weird situation, but again, you had your roommate was Chantal, but she wasn't even there at the time.
Right, which is like, that's why we had to get another place, and I know the same thing for Jamie and Doug, but then Monet, they were able to move into her home because she lived by herself. I don't know about the other seasons, but for us, we had to have another space because we physically didn't have the space. And then, like, Jason had a cat, and I'm allergic to cats. So it was like, it was like a big X either way. So we had to have somewhere else. And then you have crew coming and going.
True.
Because we had one camera person and then like 7 people like crew. So all the time in and out of the apartment. So like, yes, it was our home for 6 weeks. We stayed there. We slept there. We went to and from work. But we also borderline lived with like 7 other people.
Oh, wow.
I know. We always talk about how they
never
wake
thought
up in
about
the
that.
morning and we're like, are they actually sleeping right now? Or are they like kind of half asleep?
Yeah.
What's going on?
So did you guys keep your other places while you were living together? Like, while you got the new place, did you also keep your other places, or no, you gave them up?
No, we ended up keeping them, and then when we ended up going back after the 7 weeks or whatnot, then we went back to our place. I think we stayed a little bit longer with the other place as well, but that was our common place where we always, like, again, stick together. And at the time, my schedule was crazy. I was working overnights, so I would come home and, like, she'd be sleeping. It was absolutely crazy at the time.
Yeah.
When the cameras were rolling, we were at the new place. When the cameras were not rolling, we were still at the new place. It wasn't like, hey, I have to film today. Let's play nice at the new apartment. Then we'll split up and go home to our other places. It wasn't like that. But however, during this, there's no one holding a knife to you saying you have to stay in this new place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So everybody makes their own decision on that. If things went on behind the camera in other seasons, we would have no knowledge of it.
Gotcha. So I don't know about y'all, but I'm curious. So from this season 4, we already know Heather and Derek aren't making it. But between Nick and Sonja and Tom and Lily, any thoughts on whether those couples are going to end up married or not?
I think they're both going to stay married.
Wow. I hope so too.
Yeah. Jason, what do you think?
I really think they're going to stay married.
That's good.
I think they're all gonna stay married too. I think they're somehow gonna work it out. I'm gonna go on point. I'm gonna agree with Courtney. I want to disagree with her just to
Just to spite me.
spite her. But you know what? For the sake of letting them met, I hope they do stay together, and I think they will.
Cool.
Awesome.
The issues that they both have can be fixed so easily. It's going to take some forgiveness, obviously, but, everybody screws up, and I'm not saying that one's right, one's the other. We all screw up at one point or the other, and we're all wrong. And I think that at this point, having a couple weeks under their belt, they actually know each other, and they can see past a bad decision or a bad judgment call.
The first 6 weeks is the easy part.
So we see on the first year.
Let's see
So we
what goes
see.
on the first 6 months to the first 6 years.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys
Yes.
so much. It was so fun chatting with you.
Yes, and congratulations on your
Yes.
2.5-year anniversary that just came up, right? A couple days ago.
Yeah.
We're still cute because we do half still.
I love
You know, we're still in a relationship when he's like, it's our half. 'Cause we were doing months at a time. Like, oh, it's our 3rd month anniversary. It's our 7th month anniversary.
Yeah, we
So
see that
cute.
stuff real quick.
Yes. So what did you guys do for your 2.5
Hey.
years? Oh, that's private.
Not rich. You can get gifts every day.
Thank you so much, guys. It
Yes.
was so great talking to you.
Yes, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for all your
It was great
insight.
talking
and
to you guys.
We'll talk to you again sometime
Yeah.
soon.
Okay, sounds good. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, they're so
That was
cute. I know,
awesome.
I love
That
them.
was awesome.
We got
great.
so much good information
Yes,
right there.
yes. And literally, they are still my favorite couple. They were the
Yeah.
first ones to go through. Season 1, they clicked. I mean, even Jamie and Doug, they weren't immediately attracted, which is good to see because we see that here. It gives us
Yeah.
high hopes. But Jason and Courtney, they were real, they were authentic. Not even 1 month, like a few weeks in, his mother passes. She loses her job. They got hit back to back to
Yeah.
back, still together. It was awesome.
I feel like everything that they said, everything that came out, like, just they're so knowledgeable about everything. I'm like, I think I need to just like listen to their live story because they had so many great points to hit. So much great advice to give to the other couples too. And
Yes.
clearly, I mean, like they said, there's so many easy things, easy kinks that they can file out.
Which is all communication oriented.
Yeah.
Everything is down to communication and so forth. So that was awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think that both couples were looking good this episode. I mean, obviously, we started out with Nick and Sonja with the big aftermath of the whole fight. What did you guys make of that?
I thought that Nick was being very selfish at first. You know, I feel like when he was first talking to Pastor Cal, it was kind of like, you know, he was acting childish. Like, well, I feel this way and I feel this way. And it's like, think about how she feels. What did you do to her? Like, stop putting yourself first and put Sonja first. Put her feelings first and how she felt when those words left your mouth. And at least admit to the fault. And he's like, I know that's not the way I could have gone about it, but I feel like he was having trouble admitting that he actually hurt her feelings. So I feel like at first, talking to Pastor Cal, it just wasn't, I was just kind of upset with him. Like, come on, Nick, just own up to it.
Well, first off, in the conversation with Pastor Cal, we did not have sex.
Oh, yes, that's the big bomb.
I get out of jail free card. This isn't a traditional marriage, so I should get and he said it just like that, I should get my get out of jail free card. Like, no, you shouldn't. I was shocker. And then, no, what was it?
He was like,
No opinions or no.
this should not have to be worked on.
Yes.
This should not have to be worked on. Yeah, like, I shouldn't have to work for this. That's what it was.
Yeah.
He said you shouldn't have to work for anything,
Yes.
which really was upsetting to me, just because I feel like maybe that was taken out of context. But there's so many things in life you have to work on, including relationships, including your job, including all. And I'm sure he didn't mean it like that, but
I think he did mean it like that.
I think he was like, you shouldn't have to work for anything. And the way that I took it was, oh my gosh, okay, you have to work to get your job. You have to work to get a relationship. You have to work to take care of dogs that you have. You have to work to maintain your house. Like, you have to work at everything in your life. Nothing is going to be handed to you, especially an experience like this.
Totally. And to shout out to Leslie G, she just said on the live chat, she was just like, he totally, what was it specifically? Minimized her. And that's what happened. But it's interesting. Shocked. He said they didn't have sex. She said they did have sex.
Okay, that was so weird. I see the point.
This time I was just shocked because I was like, what?
Yes.
I've been lied to.
Yes.
I mean, I see the point. If he didn't want to kiss and tell, that's very partial information. But I feel like he could have just said, hey, I think it's private. I'd rather not share, versus like lying about it.
I mean, if she's okay with it, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
She immediately, she said it behind the scenes. She said it in front of the camera. She goes, I appreciate that. So clearly they had a mutual understanding that they weren't going to tell. To me, for some reason, I'm not excusing anything he did, but that one small snippet right there where he was like, I don't kiss and tell. I wanted to make sure that she was okay with it. I was like, that's the Nick we know. Something is missing. Something is not right.
Right, when I heard that part of the conversation, I was like, oh, thank goodness. I think we're getting back to, now we can kind of understand a little bit. And they did have their connections off camera, you know, and I appreciate them both for not wanting to kiss and tell, and that's their business, and that's what Sonja wanted. But I think when she started, you know, all this stuff was happening, she, rightfully so, was getting angry, because it's like, all right, well, this is what happened, and this is why I'm so upset about it.
Well, she said disgusted. She said, I'm disgusted. And I think the most unique thing that I picked up on when they were talking was Pastor Cal goes, will an apology resolve this? Now, keyword resolve. And she goes, I'll accept an apology. Resolve and accept, two totally different things. He's talking about a resolution. She's talking about, I will accept the apology. So to me, that it was an immediate indicator that there's that there. Reasonably so, but there's that wall.
Yeah.
There's a couple things.
I think Sonja has accepted the apology, but she's waiting to see his actions to see if they actually follow through. Otherwise, she's going to just never move back in.
She took her ring off. I mean, at the end of last week's episode, she took her ring off. But luckily, Tom and Lillian are killing it.
They're doing so
as
great.
always. Oh, they're just awesome.
I guess we didn't talk about them enough last week, so...
Wait, before we go to Tom and Lily, can we just say that Nick's shirt said ship happens. So I feel like his shirt just kind of sums up a little bit of what happened last episode. Okay, now we can move forward. I just thought that was hilarious.
So it was. There were some people talking about that too. He's got some unique shirts, all his own company, which people have said that they think he just came on this to like push himself and push his company and get more money. So I don't know, but that was hilarious.
And let me reiterate, it was ship as in SHIP.
Not a
Ship
curse word. You
has
don't
to
curse.
happen.
Allie does not curse. She's a good girl. She also doesn't say sex. But the whole episode was about sex
people
to know. I'm just kidding. I'm messing with you.
So Tom and Lillian are looking good, of course, but we do see them meet with Pastor Calvin.
Yes. And Lillian says Pastor Cal's her fave. He's my fave this time too.
I think he got so many answers for us as the audience. The things that we've been wanting to hear from them both, they've said, and they kind of really delved into getting to the bottom of what's actually causing them to have these rifts so often.
I love that he owned it. He's like, I'm really looking forward to going to Tom and Lillian's. I'm hoping they're doing good. And he's like, yeah, he's hoping he still got a job. He's like, oh, I hope someone's doing good, because if they don't, then I'm not going to have a job. But on that note, communication. Lillian, no matter what you think, I know Unfiltered, you said that you guys have a problem having direct communication. At least from an editing standpoint, we don't see that. My opinion, I don't know about you guys, but they killed it. As soon as she was answering direct. You make me feel like this. When you say this, it makes me think of my father. I feel like that. And he shoots it right back. You're projecting. I'm not your father. Give me a chance. And Pastor Calvin smirk when Tom was like talking again. He was like, attaboy. Like he was just happy that somebody was communicating.
Yeah, they're definitely communicating.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's great too, because, you know, every time we see a snafu like this or some sort of problem, Lillian always does explain it takes a little bit, but she explains exactly why she felt that way, just like we felt with the surgery. It took a little bit to understand the actual issue, but we find it out, and that's something that they're so good at, and they do dig deep. Every time, even when they were talking on their honeymoon about certain things, they dug deep as to like, what really do I care about? What really do I, and a lot of it has to do with their family. So, and I think that that's something that's really special between them, because they really go into their feelings and let the other person know, this is exactly what I feel about it.
So what did you guys think? So Tom's position was, I'm ground up. I want to go from the ground up. I want to talk about what we're dealing with on a daily basis. And Lily was like, short term equals scary. Not in those words. She's like, if you're not talking long term, you're walking out the door. What did you guys think? What did you think about his position?
Normally I would side with Tom, just because I feel like, well, I don't know if I would see it that way, but I could see his point, take it day by day. But in this process, they are already married, so I see her point that we should be at least making sure we both want kids if we're going to stay together and stay married, because this is an experiment and we want it to work.
I think going day to day sometimes can be a little bit more stressful, because it's more fun to, he was saying like, you don't need to jump ahead, but sometimes it's fun to do that. It's just like it's just like,
I don't know any man that thinks it's fun to jump ahead.
Well, I guess in girl, I
great girl world. We love it.
In my mind, I'm thinking, when you're a little kid, you're like, oh, I wonder what kind of car I'm going to have when I get older. Like, it's one of those things.
I think most of it are like, what kind of wedding dress am I going to have?
I guess I'm trying to, think of a round circle.
That's okay.
So, think of things, not meaning to, but you think of things in a future standpoint, wherever you are in your life.
Totally.
So it's only natural to do that. And what she's feeling is natural because she's already gotten married, so that's the first step. But I understand where he's coming from with, we've only been together a couple weeks.
4 weeks, yeah.
But sometimes when you're with someone that you're so comfortable with, it's so easy to jump ahead.
Totally.
Like, when you date someone for a couple days, it's like, oh, okay, I see where you're getting at. And they're married, so it's like, all right, let's talk about that.
Totally. And shout out to Lee Burns, always tweeting, and he's on the live chat now. He's saying, which is true, every time Lily and Tom have some sort of argument, they're immediately communicating after it. And we see that. And I have to say, I don't know if I'm missing something, but I did not hear what Pastor Cow and what Tom heard. I heard what Lillian heard. So I was actually team Lillian as well on this one. I was like, wait a minute, I don't think she's jumping ahead. Like, she keeps owning that too. She's like, yeah, I'm wanting to know this and that, but it makes sense to me.
Well, also because I feel like she's hearing it every time he says he's not sure. It's like, oh, he thinks that they might divorce in 2 weeks now. So it's even if it's not long term, it's like he's like immediately gonna leave. I think that's how she's kind of sensing it.
Yeah, totally. How about Tom being a cook?
Oh, yeah, that chick.
That's awesome.
You know what I thought again? Every episode, it makes me so hungry. It's like, can I get some of that chicken marsala?
Yes. I literally want to say shout out, because I'll admit it, I was the one that called Tom a playboy and then was like, no, Tom, playboy isn't a negative word. It wasn't negative, but it definitely was implying that he was a player.
Yeah.
I misjudged. I judged, and I'm so wrong. Everything Tom is doing to date, everything he's saying, even when he's like, I'm a man of my word, I don't know what else I need to do, and then down to this cooking thing.
He's definitely a good guy.
And he's in.
She lucked out on that one.
Yes, he's in. He's committed. Like, amazing. And I loved it. They are already doing what we saw Jason do with Courtney and Jamie do in the first year. So it took them till after they were married. This couple is accelerated. They're on an accelerated path. They're staying together. Yeah. I believe it.
No, I do too. They are awesome. And just like, she's like, oh, like he's cooking me food this time. Like, they just have such a great connection. And let's just talk about the little prank he played with her on the toothpaste. I thought that was so cute because he's like, all right, this is something that she told me she hates, and like set up a camera. And it was just so cute to see them just like banter and just.
It reminded me of when he dropped the dog food through the glass, like on the glass, thinking the dog thought he was going to get it, and the dog came up and he's like, I was like, this is amazing. This is what keeps them together. It totally reminds me of literally like Jason, Courtney playing those jokes and being so much with this banter. It's amazing. Yeah. It's awesome. It's awesome.
And he opened up to her by bringing her to the spot on the beach.
So
which was amazing. Yeah. And I feel like we really are seeing, we haven't really heard too much about his side of his relationship. It's just been like, oh, well, they've ran away because of the bus. And that's kind of all we've gotten to. So it was really cool to hear about his past relationships and what really went wrong and how he's literally taking leaps and bounds to get rid of those problems that he had in the past in order to make it a fixation for this future relationship.
Yeah, to learn from it. Speaking of that, so Pastor Cal gave everybody the, hey, take someone to someone special. What did you guys think of like, so Sonja took Nick to like a restaurant, and then Nick took her to his high school, right? His high school?
Yeah.
Like, I was just curious. I was like, I wonder if that that restaurant, that didn't seem super personal to me.
I think it just seemed like it was like her neighborhood hangout that she enjoyed. But yeah, it could have gone a little more personal, but maybe that was her favorite.
Or maybe that was her way of being like, I'm taking him to a restaurant, I'm checked, I'm out. Like his ass can get a restaurant.
He can take the bill.
Yeah.
I think that, I feel like sometimes like my favorite food is pizza. So if I was like trying to get to know someone, I'd be like, guess what? I know this amazing pizza spot.
True.
I'm going to eat it. So I feel like that's what she was doing. And that's a comfortable thing.
Makes
because
sense.
she can explain all the food. She can kind of like, it's something that she can kind of coach him through. Like, oh, this is what you should get. These are the best things in the menu. Cool. It's an easier way to open up. And I feel like after that fight that they had, it was something that was easy for her to really just be like, oh, this is something I know everything about. I'm going to show you.
Yes, yeah. I feel like we heard another thing when they were sitting there on the stands with Nick, and he was talking about like baseball and high school or whatever. Both of them said the same thing, which was like, we seem to be comfortable in this scenario. That to me was a hint. Did you guys hear that?
Well,
It was almost like we're
I think
friends.
in some ways it was like we get along when we're doing a fun activity together, but not when we're just hanging out in the house.
Oh, is that how you took it?
I don't know, maybe.
Cool. Yeah, I took it. I was like, there's another indicator that both of them are saying we are comfortable in the friend space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we did hear friend a couple times this episode, which is weird because in the beginning it was kind of like it was that awkward, and then they're like, oh, well, I think my wife, my husband is attractive, or like this, just like kind of like surface items. And then we see them kind of get cutesy and banter and like really enjoying each other. And then it's been like awkward, and now we're back in the friend zone. So I'm wondering though, if we went from like certain like ups and downs. I'm wondering if this is like a friendship that's gonna only take us uphill from here. And I mean, he did open up to her about his mom having to hide at his baseball games.
Yeah, that was cute.
Such a funny story.
That was funny. That was funny. Speaking of friends, we see Derek with his friends at the pool hall or the bar or whatever. What do you guys think of him still having his debuts solo without the relationship with Heather?
I think it's kind of awkward for me. I mean, I saw him open the letter at the bar, and I couldn't tell if that was something that obviously the producers were like, hey, open up the letter so the friends ask about it. I wasn't sure, and it just kind of, for me, I was like, it's not something that should have been opened like right there, but like maybe we could have talked about it. But I feel like some of it is like, I don't know if his friends are actually understanding where he is right now. But then again, I'm so confused with this whole Derek and Heather thing because I don't know what we didn't see, so I don't really know how to feel about it.
Yeah.
Funny you say that. On Unfiltered after, so they made an announcement. Coach Rachel made an announcement about another couple. I even wrote down the names because I wasn't familiar with them before, but Quentin and Brandy. So apparently they had a third couple. Quentin and Brandy were paired for this season. And Quentin's job and work schedule took him out of the Miami area, which took them out of the equation. Now, hinting at the fact you're like, maybe there's something that we're seeing. I'm not sure, but it seems to me, now that I saw that on Unfiltered, I was like, wait a minute.
Could they have been the third couple?
Maybe.
And then maybe Heather and Derek were backup or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, because this whole dynamic
So maybe
seems a little
this
bit
like
weird.
something fast. and,
Yes.
like-
Maybe they were like the alternate couple.
Yeah, because I mean, we're just seeing a lot of stuff that's really weird. So it's funny you say that. I felt the same way. And on that note, Quentin and Brandy found each other because of the fans on social media, and they're now dating and together.
Oh my goodness.
yes.
Not married, but dating.
Yeah, dating, but that's cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, and also too, I don't want to discount from how like Derek is feeling about the situation because he is
Yes.
still wearing his ring.
Yeah, you can tell he's upset.
Yeah, I can definitely tell that Derek is upset. I'm just saying that it's just kind of uncomfortable right now because we don't know what happened, and we're just kind of only seeing surface things play out, like seeing friends react to how do you feel about this. So it's just kind of like you don't really know how to feel other than we know that Derek is upset.
Yeah. And I like that at least with some of the couples we're going beneath the surface. So again, with Tom and Lily, how awesome, like Tom said in their next conversation, maybe it was at the beach or home, I'm not really sure it was, but you're not competing with other wives, you're competing with yourself.
Yes. That was amazing.
It's great. Because
Tom, you have a brother? I already knew he did. I was just kidding.
yeah, seriously, because I
Amazing.
feel like in a normal relationship, maybe you would have some insecurity with other females out there, be like, oh, well, he could replace me with some other girl, but it's like, that's not the problem here. It's just you against yourself.
Yes. I was like, he killed it with that.
Yeah.
He killed it.
Yeah, and they did talk about the insecurities, and his was his feet.
Oh, she kept throwing jabs when she ate the food that was too hot. She's like, you have calluses on your tongue too? And I was like, that was a foot jab. That was a foot jab.
That's funny.
Poor guy. It's okay, Tom. We know that she made you wash your feet.
How weird coincidence was that though? In the beginning that she coincidentally made him wash his feet and he doesn't like his feet.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I'm like, man, I wonder, like, that must have, like, kind of hit home a little bit. But we saw him do it so gracefully without any complaints. And he said, you know, I'll walk around, do my thing, but if she just wants me to wash them at the end of the day, then I'll do it. So there's another thing we're seeing Tom really, like, he's taken the strides.
Definitely. And what did you guys think of his other insecurity, which was that he's putting effort and time into this relationship and then it might not work?
What are your thoughts on that? I mean, I think we all have those doubts, so I think it was definitely valid. But I don't think Lily's giving him any reason to believe that.
Yeah.
I just don't. But at least words create worlds. We perceive the reality that we perceive is what is in front of us. So from what I'm seeing, I believe that that's just him, but as Pastor Cal said, that's him really wanting it, just like she really wants it. And it's almost like they're self-sabotaging because they're both now so worried about it.
They said that. They said that they're just trying so hard to get to each other so fast that they're like, like, I don't know what to do, you know, like almost like just kind of freaking out because they do want to get to each other so quickly and like kind of fast forward this motion. But in actuality, it's only been a couple weeks, which is crazy.
And they own that on Unfiltered. So like Tom and Lily both say on Unfiltered that the communication gap is there, but that they're trying and they're moving forward from it. But I was really surprised about Nick on Unfiltered. Just seemed very non-remorseful. He actually had the audacity to say, Sonja playing committed. I wrote, I never take notes, and because I was like, I'm going to get this one down today. So self-proclaimed committed. He said her and her self-proclaimed committed, basically implying that the action of her moving out does not align with being a committed wife. So he's blaming it on her.
See, that's something right there where I just feel like you really need to understand who you are as a person, take your feelings out of the equation, and think about the other person. Because I feel like there's so many times where you can get so caught up in your own thoughts and your own emotions that you're not thinking about the other person. I feel like that's what he's doing. Yeah, because I'm sorry, but saying those words, and Sonja, it's not even like he said those to her. Like, she had to overhear that. And that's something that's so hurtful. And I think even maybe if he were to go up to her or maybe have, like, not chased after her, but, like, maybe, like, show up, show effort. Like, go on her front porch, bring her favorite food. Go, like, you know, show that effort that I'm really sorry. But, like, obviously we haven't gotten too much into the apologies yet. But I think that's something that he's going to have to do in order for Sonja to really just, like, take the plunge and move back in.
Yeah, the action. I think he's gonna have to. I did a poll before the show on Twitter, like, hey, does he need to take action and ask her to move in? Which I don't think he's going to do, but majority voted like yes, he should, because she said it herself. I will accept the apology if action is followed up behind it.
Yeah, he has to do something to basically apologize, but in a big gesture.
Yeah,
I don't know if we're gonna see that.
I honestly, at this point, I don't either, because of what we saw when they were talking with Pastor Cal. Like, I just saw the emotion on his face, and I think he just looked so unhappy.
Yeah, uncomfortable.
And just like not really wanting to be there. And I don't get that from somebody that in the beginning had said, I feel like the matchmakers, like, you know, did the right thing. And I just like, we're going so much backwards. And like I said, maybe we're going backwards and we're going to plunge forward. I don't know, but we're going to have to see some big action from Nick in order to see a success on this one.
Totally. I think I love it, though. Again, Lillian and Tom are killing it with the communication. They're just nonstop talking. And then even when they got further in there, their questions got deeper and deeper. And they're authentic, real questions. So it was good that we wrapped it up on that. And this is like totally random, but since we never saw anything about Heather, like not a lot, like we didn't see much of her, but of what she did say, her saying that she really was hoping to find love. Like, did you guys sense that being authentic? Did you have any opinions on that, on her comment or whatever she did?
She appealed to me more this episode than she has in the past, because I feel like she's matured a little bit. She's gotten to kind of look past everything, and she's definitely grown.
Yeah.
But I know we're running out of time, and I want to get into some predictions.
No, predictions.
Alrighty.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Well, I'm going to say that we're going to have a huge, obviously, like, taking away from the commercials, I think we're going to have a huge either make or break for Nick and Sonja. It's either going to be at the end of the next episode, I feel like it's going to be whether she's going to move in or she's going to continue, we're going to see like a drag out of her and him.
So do you think she's moving in or not moving in? What's your prediction?
I don't think she's going to move in.
Okay. Wow.
Not yet. I'm not saying that the relationship is going to be over, but I don't think we'll see her move back in by the end of next episode.
Gotcha.
And then for Tom and Lillian, I think that maybe I want to see them get out of the house. I want to see them do like an activity. So maybe we'll see them do an activity. That's my prediction.
My prediction is that we're going to have more amazing guests before the after show season ends.
Love it. I think we're going to see more greatness between Tom and Lillian. And I'm just feeling really unsure about Nick and Sonja right now. And I really thought they were going to make it. So I obviously hope they still do. But I think so much is going to have to happen that I hope something big in a positive way happens next week. Because I feel like otherwise it needs to go faster because there's only 2 more weeks.
Yeah.
So cross your fingers for that because I want them to work out. Well, you guys should definitely let us know your prediction on YouTube because we love it when you comment, and also on iTunes. And you can tweet me at JamieBanks_. What about you guys?
You can find me at Heather Yerrid on Instagram and Twitter.
And you can find me on Twitter at AllieGirl.
We'll see you guys next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.